Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Today I want to talk to you about figures that you guys want reissued. Now, I've talked about reissue lists in the past, what I think needs to get reissued, and I've had a couple of very specific videos about specific characters, but this is a list completely from what you guys want to see reissued and why, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm not surprised about anything on this list at all. They're all good figures, and most of them have sold out quite a while ago and are going for a lot of money on the secondary market. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to discuss this. But of course, I want to know what you guys think about this list. Of course, we all put it together. We'll talk about this. Coming up. Okay, so before I get into talking about your list, I do want to talk about comments I've seen from people this past week about reissues that are showing up. Now, the first comment is on Lupus. Fans Toys Lupus is showing up. I'm hearing they've made improvements to this, and so it's in the lower legs, and so you get better ankle tilt, rocker articulation going on, which is something that I guess the first one was sorely missing. It didn't have very much articulation in the lower legs and the feet, and so now it is an improvement. That I guess I don't have this figure. I've never handled this figure, and so when I get the one to review from Show Z pretty soon, then that is going to be my first time ever handling this figure. So I am actually looking forward to it, and I'm also got the KO on the way. The second one, I'm getting feedback from people that Fans Toys Thomas, the reissue, isn't coming with the stand. Now, I don't know if that's a fact or not, but I've heard people chattering about it and talking about it, and I'm just curious, is that true? Did they reissue this and not put the stand in? It's like the train tracks that converts into a stand, and you can see it in this picture, but I'm hearing that it's just left out. Now, the KO had it, and I reviewed the KO, went over that, and then the reissue that I got that has a recolor had it, so I would be surprised if the standard reissue didn't have it. But anyway, I'd like to get some feedback directly from viewers on that one. And I wish I could go back in time and just taken a standard picture, but I had to take an excerpt out of my shaky cam video for this. But anyway, blurry pictures, only going to last for a minute, but I do want to say the number one thing on the list is the Gigapower Dinos reissued as a team. So consecutively, all of the chrome, or consecutively all of the metallic. And I thought they were doing that, but now looking back at it and just getting feedback from people, it seems like they do 3 chrome and then 2 of the metallics within a year or year and a half time frame, and then they do 3 metallics and 2 chromes, and they don't really line up to where if you just bought one of each in a row in a year and a half, you'd have them all. I'm understanding it's taken like 2 years to get yourself together a full set of one or the other. Maybe it's just because they want to have you on the hook for the rest of them down the road, or just the way their production cycle works. I'm not really sure, but you would think that they would coordinate and just bang them out. Like, if we're going to do the Grimlock, then let's do them in both versions, and I would think that would be a way to do it. It would make more sense. Like, to make 500 and 500, or instead of 1,000 of just one. But then again, that's just me, and so with that, I'm hearing it's challenging to get the whole team in one color deco, and that could be frustrating. And it seems like it's all Gigapower really does is their Dinobots. That rolls into requests, different types of requests about Fans Toys Dinobots. Now, obviously, the X versions look amazing, but they say a limited run, which I still don't believe 100% the Fans Toys limited runs are really limited runs, but these redecos, I don't see them going back and redoing them again, so just doing the standard ones again would be nice so everybody could complete the team, and they have been sort of more or less keeping up with it. Some people say they would like to see them in more cartoon colors. I don't know if Fans Toys would ever abandon that back metallized gold chrome that they have going on with it, but I think they are pretty much, for the most part, tune accurate, even more tune accurate than Gigapower, but I don't think you see yellow. I don't think they would abandon that gold for yellow, and I don't know. What do you think? You think that would ever happen? Fans Toys ever put out like a straight tune recolor, or would they always keep that mix of real-world elements when it comes to the Dinobots? So the next one's Fans Toys Hoodle, which is I kind of led people into that one because that's the picture I used when I said, what do you want to see reissued? And it's like, oh yeah, I definitely would like to see that reissued because I don't have that one, or something along those lines. But he's a good-looking version. I think bot mode wise looks way better than Takara, but alt mode maybe not as good as Takara's alt mode. But this one is prone to chipping of the hood by not even doing anything, just getting shipped to you. The hood's probably going to show up chipped, and then very low level articulation versus what we're getting these days. I would wonder if they would put that out, knowing all the complaints people had about it. And with that, it's almost like, ha ha ha, you guys complained about this. Now pay $300 on secondary market for one, because we're not going to reissue it. But if they did reissue it, would you want it? Do you think they would make improvements to it like they did Lupus, fix kind of some shoulder articulation, just give them a little bit more articulation? I think they would. I don't know if they would actually go 2.0 on this guy, because it is a pretty decent looking figure. Just needs a little bit of upgrading and some articulation. But I'm fine with mine the way it is. This picture here kind of shows sort of, in my mind, a logic of what Fans Toys would be doing, right? We've got Coot reissued. We've got their Springer reissued, who's they're almost giving Springer away everywhere these days. Like $130 I saw somewhere not too long ago. And then, so Hot Rod, or the Hoodlum, and then their RC version would be somewhere in the mix in the future. I would think they do that in the future. I'm surprised they haven't yet. The next one, people are requesting Hydra, so this is, again, and I've said this in other videos, but I'll say it again because it's true. People complained about the piddliest nonsense on this figure. They said the knees were a little weak. They are a little weak, but mine has never fallen over, and I've never had too much issue with it. But yeah, the knees, the ratchet in the knees, are not as strong as they should be to hold up that giant chunk of die cast, but heavy arms and all that. But at the end of the day, it stands up fine. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but so many complaints about the knees, and then maybe some other stuff they complained about. I like mine. I like the way it looks, and I had this figure in G1 as a kid, so I really have a huge connection with it. I had so much fun with that figure, and then this figure just feels like the modern increase update to it. And I also had the DX9 version, and I considered buying a couple of other versions because 6-shot, you can have 6 different modes. But once I had this in hand, I was like, it really doesn't make sense for me to buy any other version because I liked this one that much. And I almost considered buying a second one. I probably would pick one up on a reissue. Fans Toys Jabber, this is one that looks great. Transformation is tedious, involved. I think this is where Fans Toys try to explore how ultra complex they can make a transformation and how thin they can make parts. And so with that, they did that with this one and their RC Rouge. But this one definitely is due for a reissue because he's getting hard to find. And actually, surprisingly, this figure sold out relatively quickly during the time frame that it was up, and I'm surprised they haven't reissued this one because I was thinking, yeah, this one will probably get reissued next year because it sold out so fast. And yeah, here we are like 3 years later and it hasn't sold out, or hasn't been reissued. So still sitting sold out, still on the secondary market, probably a $300 figure. I haven't checked secondary market prices on all of these, just a couple of them, just to kind of see like where is the market with this, because when you have it, you don't really chase it anymore. You don't really know market value, so you just take other people's word for it. So you make videos, you kind of want to know. But anyhow, Jabber, a great one. So the next Fans Toys one people keep talking about is Spotter. And I gotta say, I made a whole video about this, a whole Friday video on this one, and just sum up some of the points there. I don't think they'll put this ever back out again. I think they're gonna do a 2.0, and it's because the mold's broken. This is really early Fans Toys, where I think that they could do a better job than this. This still is the best looking one out of all the sets, in my opinion, the more tune accurate, but I think they do a better job with paint, do a better job with design. I think they do a better job with articulation. So it's a bit rudimentary for Fans Toys from back in the day, and if they did, this is probably on the short list of ones that want to do a 2.0 of, but there's so many other characters they got to tackle. I don't know if they'd retread this same old ground. Okay, so the next one that I keep seeing is Hhunk from Fans Toys Hhunk, and not so much about Sheridan, oddly enough. Both of them are in the same situation, sold out everywhere, and now fetching a higher price on the secondary market. But I would like to see these reissued myself also, and for different reasons than people are saying. They just want to have one. But this is what they promised. They're pulling a Super 7 on us. They showed us these pictures, and we thought we were going to get the metallic look to them. We thought we were going to get the shiny metallic, and they look very G1 accurate, very tuned, but have a nice real-world shiny look to them. And then people started complaining online that didn't want shiny. I made a rant video about this, and during editing, I just deleted everything because I didn't like that. It's not me. I'm not a rant video kind of guy. I might do them once in a while, but I was really upset about this, and I was like, well, I don't like the way that came out. So let's show you the difference. Now, looking at Hhunk himself, you probably don't notice the difference so much because the way the green and light reflects off it, it doesn't look that much different. But I can tell that in hand, it's way too flat. It's nowhere near the shine of what we originally shown. And then, as you see with Sheridan, if you see with the Warpath, way different. And so very muted colors versus what we're going to get more vibrant colors. And so with that, I would actually like to see them reissue them and give us what we originally promised the first go around. And then another thing about these reissues is that I think that the people that ordered them the first time, that jumped on the first time and bought them, should have something slightly different than the second go around. And so this is perfect, right? So that would be perfect. I know Fans Toys tries to just put it out exactly the same, and I know it's easier and cheaper to do that way. And then, of course, you already have an expectation because you've seen someone else's figure or you've seen reviews online, and then you put it out slightly different than it might bother people. But I would love to see the shiny versions, and so off my soapbox. Now, the next one I've been hearing, and it actually wasn't really for this list, but I've been hearing it all along since the Takara MP44 sold out, was reissue of MP44. Now, some of those requests have died down with the KOs popping out there, but nowadays, it's kind of like, why is Takara not going to capitalize on this mold? I personally believe they get kickbacks from some of these KO companies because they come out way too fast for it to just be reverse engineered and that simple. But especially with what's coming out right now, without their Trailbreaker came out so fast, and then it seems like Skyfire's coming out way too fast. So anyhow, looking at this guy, this is the toy version. So they are putting this one out. So this is kind of, I think I call it an S version or something, but it's kind of a plus version. But people are asking for other reissues of plus version. I think the plus version that makes the most sense would be Shockwave, and there's a lot of reasons why. First of all, the original first run of Shockwave is still getting hard to find. You can find the KOs out there of what we lovingly call Lavender Wave, but the Shockwave Plus is the purple one on the right, the darker, deeper purple, which I would prefer to have on my shelf. Now, the Lavender Wave, the design, I think it looks good, but I feel he's a little on the short side, but I think he looks great, and having him in the darker purple with a deeper, more rich, vibrant color would pop on the shelf a little bit better. I'd much rather have that. So if they ever put it back out, I'd be in line to buy it. Now, I have to admit, I didn't buy it for $250 years ago, but today I probably would, simply because I just feel like it's that important. So I'm rocking a KO on the shelf myself, by the way, and I would support Takara putting this back out. And this is why I ask people for their input, because I wouldn't have really thought about needing to reissue the plus versions of all three of these. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so I got one of them, because I have the other ones in the first version. I was like, I'm not going to be fooled by this plus version. But looking at the Dotson brothers, I think they look really good in this cartoon repaint, and they look really good as a team together. So with that, yeah, reissuing all these would be great. Now, I think they would be $80, and the original ones came out at $60 in the $60 range. And so then the pluses came out in the $80 range. But with that, yeah, I could see this coming out. And I know a lot of people that would like these, and I don't really think they did full-on KOs of these. They might have, but I don't think they did plus KOs. And that makes me also think that Takara has control of the KO market. Yeah, there was no plus KO of Lavender Wave into the purple wave of Shockwave. But anyway, okay, getting into Wheeljack, and I actually was going to get rid of my first version of Wheeljack when I got the plus, but then I kind of like both of them so much I didn't get rid of them. But I did put sort of an upgrade kit on my plus version of Wheeljack, which I don't know if I'm sure those are still floating around, where you get kind of the blue transparent earpieces. Reissuing the plus version of this guy would make a lot of sense, and I'm surprised they haven't since then. But then again, they're old molds. Maybe they're going another direction, or maybe they got wind that Fans Toys is working on it. X-Transbots Clat 2 is... There's not a lot of X-Transbots people are asking for reissued, by the way. And I really believe that's because X-Transbots stays on it. They don't want to lose a dime. They don't want to lose out on a penny. They don't want to leave any money on the table. They're leaving money on the table with this guy. Now, they have reissued him. because I passed on him the first time, and I bought mine on a reissue because he is the best version of Cosmos that's out there. And I have 3, so I can say out of the 3, he is the best. But I'd be happy with all 3. If I had any of the 3, I'd be perfectly fine with them. But I think he is the best, and he looks the best, and it's where they really started with their premium paint. Like, people were shocked by the paint job on this when all the other ones out there are just kind of flat looking. They don't look like they have a premium paint, and this guy does. And then the transformation is intuitive, and it's smooth, and it works, and it gets the job done. So anyhow, this is a solid figure. They did put it back out with blue. That one's still pretty easy to find. But this one, the standard color is the one that most people want, a representation of Cosmos, which is a goofy looking character anyway, but it's a good representation. This is the one people want. And the last masterpiece that people want, reissued, isn't even a masterpiece. It is Studio Series Gridlock, and here's why. We're sort of beginning and ending with Gridlocks or Dinobots, but Studio Series Dinobots are really good. And if you display your Dinobots on a separate shelf, $50 a shot instead of $200 a shot makes more sense. Like, instead of buying one Gigapower Fans Toys, you're basically, you can get the whole team, except for the fact this guy's now commanding masterpiece prices. He's commanding a $200 price point, and it's just because I think a lot of people didn't think they'd complete the team, and we're almost there. And my BBTS order when it comes in, and then so we're just waiting on one more swoop after that, I think. So is that what's going on? I think that's where it's at. So anyway, I actually think they will reissue this. I think Hasbro will, because, I mean, Hasbro, how can you be so greedy that you're going to be charging like $27 a figure for some, you know, basically $15 action figures, but you're not going to reissue this guy? You already have the molds ready to go. I think they will. When they put out Swoop, I think he's coming, and that's my belief. Would be fun if they did a little bit of like upgrading on paint apps or something, or maybe some back metalizing, but you know they won't. They won't. It'll just be the standard same thing, just reissued. If they reissue it, but they're leaving money on the table. So, you guys had input on this list, but maybe not everybody put their input in. So what do you think about this list? Are you looking forward to any reissues that are coming up? And did you get some ideas from this? Like, oh, hey, yeah, I really would like to see those reissued. Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe. Jim Hanger, out.
I look to the sky.